listen to me carefully. Some of you have been waiting on a hero your whole life, waiting on somebody to rescue you, waiting on somebody to fix it, waiting on somebody to believe in you. But what if I told you the hero you've been praying for is staring back at you in the mirror? You keep asking, who's going to save me? God is asking, why haven't you stood up yet? You survived what should have broken you. You endured what should have buried you. You're still standing after storms that were designed to drown you. That's not weakness. That's evidence. The cape you're looking for, it's called courage. The superpower you're searching for, it's called responsibility. Today is not about blaming your past. It's not about crying over betrayal. It's not about explaining your pain. Today is about one decision: stop waiting, start becoming. Because the moment you decide to become the hero of your own story, everything changes. Stop waiting for rescue. Let that settle in your spirit. Too many people are stuck in the hallway of life because they are waiting for a door that only they can open. You keep looking over your shoulder for someone to arrive with the answers, the money, the connections, the validation, the applause. You keep telling yourself, when they show up, I'll rise. When they help me, I'll move. When they support me, I'll start. But destiny does not respond to hesitation. It responds to decision. There comes a moment when you must realize that waiting has become your hiding place. Waiting feels safe. Waiting gives you an excuse. Waiting allows you to blame timing, people, circumstances, and even God. But growth begins the second you accept responsibility for your own breakthrough. Not partial responsibility, not convenient responsibility. Total ownership. You cannot control who left you. You cannot control who doubted you. You cannot control the doors that were closed in your face, but you can control your response. And that response is where your power lies. The hero inside you wakes up the moment you say, it's on me now. Some of you have been rehearsing your pain for years. You can recite every betrayal, every disappointment, every missed opportunity, but heroes don't rehearse wounds. They rewrite endings. The shift happens when you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start declaring, what am I going to do about it? Rescue is a mindset of dependency. It says, I can't until someone else does. Responsibility is a mindset of authority. It says, even if no one does, I still will. That is the difference between spectators and leaders, between victims and victors. When you stop waiting for rescue, something powerful happens. You stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop postponing your potential. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces that were never designed for your growth. Instead of asking for permission, you start taking initiative. Instead of waiting for confidence, you start building competence, and competence creates confidence. The truth is, help may come, support may show up, but it should never be the foundation of your movement. Your movement must begin with your decision, because if your progress depends on people, it will collapse when people disappoint you. But if it depends on your commitment, it will survive storms. You were not built to be rescued. You were built to rise. There is strength in you that has not been activated because you have been outsourcing your power. You have been handing over your future to circumstances. But the moment you pull that power back and say, I am responsible for my growth, my healing, my discipline, my action, you step into authority. And authority changes posture, it changes tone, it changes direction. Stop waiting for someone to pick you up. Stand up. Stop waiting for someone to believe in you. Believe in yourself. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Create momentum. The hero you're waiting for is not late. The hero is you. Own your story. Not the polished version, not the filtered version, the real one, the messy one, the chapters you tried to skip, the pages you hoped nobody would read. Because the moment you stop running from your story is the moment you start ruling it. Too many people are exhausted because they are carrying shame instead of strength. They walk into rooms apologizing for experiences that shaped them. They shrink themselves so nobody sees the cracks. But let me tell you something powerful. Your scars are not proof that you are broken. They are proof that you healed. Scars are evidence that you fought, that you endured, that you survived something that was meant to destroy you. You cannot become the hero of a story you are ashamed of. Heroes are not people with perfect pasts. They are people who made it through imperfect ones. They are not defined by what happened to them, but by how they responded to what happened to them. The pain may not have been your fault, but the healing is your responsibility. And healing begins with ownership. When you refuse to own your story, you give other people the pen. You allow critics, doubters, and even abusers to narrate your life. You start living based on labels they gave you. Not good enough. Too much. Too broken. But those were opinions formed from limited perspectives. They were not prophecies, and you have the authority to reject them. Owning your story means you stop editing your past to make other people comfortable. It means you stop pretending certain events didn't affect you. It means you face the truth, what you endured, and declare, yes, it hurt. Yes, it was unfair. Yes, it changed me, but it did not defeat me. There is power in that kind of honesty. Because when you own your story, it loses the power to control you. Secrets keep you in chains. Shame keeps you silent, but truth sets you free. When you acknowledge your wounds, you also acknowledge your resilience. When you recognize your lowest moments, you also recognize how far you've come. Your story is not a liability. It is your leverage. The rejection taught you discernment. The failure taught you humility. The heartbreak taught you boundaries. The struggle taught you endurance. Every chapter gave you something. Even the painful ones carried lessons wrapped in discomfort. And here's the shift. When you fully accept your story, you stop comparing it to someone else's. You stop wishing you had their background, their opportunities, their smooth path. You realize that your unique experiences have equipped you for a unique purpose. What you went through was not random. It built muscles in you that comfort never could. Owning your story also means forgiving yourself for the mistakes, for the seasons you stayed too long, for the times you didn't know better. Growth requires compassion for your former self. You did the best you could with what you knew then. Now you know more. Now you can do better. When you stand tall in your truth, something shifts in your spirit. You stop hiding. You stop shrinking. You stop explaining your existence. You walk with quiet confidence because you understand that every scar is a medal, every lesson is a weapon, and every chapter, good or bad, contributed to the strength you carry today. That's what heroes do. They don't deny the fire. They walk out of it refined. Turn pain into power. That is not just a motivational phrase. It is a decision. Pain is inevitable. Power is optional. Everybody experiences hurt, betrayal, disappointment, rejection, and failure. But not everybody transforms it. Some people let pain make them bitter. Others let it make them better. The difference is not in what happened to them. It is in what they decided to do with what happened. Pain is heavy. It sits on your chest at night. It replays memories in your mind. It whispers lies about your worth. But pain is also a teacher. It exposes what strength feels like when it is stretched. It reveals where your boundaries should have been. It uncovers who was truly for you and who was only there for convenience. If you listen closely, pain carries lessons wrapped in discomfort. You cannot avoid pain, but you can assign it a purpose. When you give your pain purpose, it stops being punishment. It becomes preparation. That betrayal taught you discernment. That failure taught you strategy. That heartbreak taught you self-respect. That season of lack taught you discipline. Every struggle carved something into your character that comfort never could. The problem is not that you were hurt. The problem begins when you build a home inside your hurt. When you replay it daily, when you introduce yourself through it, when you allow it to define your identity. Pain was meant to pass through you, not live inside you. It was meant to refine you, not reduce you. Turning pain into power requires reflection instead of reaction. Reaction keeps you stuck in emotion. Reflection pulls wisdom out of experience. Instead of asking, why did this destroy me? You begin asking, what did this develop in me? That question changes everything because now you are mining strength from struggle. Understand this clearly. Muscles grow by resistance. Character grows by adversity. Diamonds form under pressure. You cannot pray for strength and then resent the process that builds it. The very thing you wished away may have been the very thing shaping you into someone unstoppable. Pain also builds empathy. When you have walked through fire, you recognize the smoke on someone else. You speak with compassion instead of judgment. You lead with understanding instead of arrogance. Your wounds become bridges that connect you to others. That is power, the ability to transform personal suffering into collective inspiration. But transformation requires release. You cannot turn pain into power while holding on to resentment. Resentment drains energy. It ties your future to your past. Forgiveness is not excusing what happened. It is freeing yourself from carrying it. When you release bitterness, you reclaim strength. The strongest people are not those who avoided hardship. They are those who faced it, felt it, processed it, and rose from it. They refused to let pain shrink their vision. Instead, they allowed it to sharpen their focus. They used it as fuel. Every time someone said they couldn't, they trained harder. Every time life knocked them down, they learned how to stand up faster. Your pain is not proof that you are weak. It is proof that you survived impact. And survival is not the end. It is the beginning. When you decide that your struggle will strengthen you rather than silence you, you step into authority. You stop being a victim of your story and become the author of a stronger chapter. That is how heroes are made, not in comfort, not in applause, but in the quiet decision to turn wounds into weapons and setbacks into stepping stones. Develop inner discipline, because talent without discipline is potential without direction. Passion without discipline is emotion without execution. You can have big dreams, bold visions, and powerful intentions, but without discipline, they remain ideas floating in your imagination. Heroes are not built in the spotlight. They are built in the shadows, in the quiet moments when no one is watching and no one is applauding. Inner discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It is choosing growth over comfort. It is waking up when excuses whisper, sleep a little longer. It is staying focused when distractions beg for attention. Discipline is not loud. It does not announce itself. It shows up consistently, day after day, shaping you from the inside out. Feelings are unstable. One day you're motivated, the next day you're tired. One day you're inspired, the next day you're discouraged. If you build your life on feelings, your progress will rise and fall with your emotions. But when you build your life on discipline, you create stability. You move forward whether you feel strong or not. You act based on commitment, not convenience. Discipline is self-respect in action. It is telling yourself, I deserve better, and then aligning your habits with that belief. It is understanding that your future is created by what you repeatedly do, not by what you occasionally attempt. Small daily decisions compound into powerful results. The extra hour of focus, the consistent effort, the refusal to quit when progress feels slow. These are the quiet bricks that build an extraordinary life. There will be days when nobody encourages you, days when results are invisible, days when doubt tries to convince you that your effort is pointless. That is where discipline separates you from the crowd, because discipline does not require applause. It requires vision. It remembers where you are going when your emotions forget. Inner discipline also means mastering yourself, your impulses, your reactions, your habits. A hero is not someone who controls others. A hero is someone who controls themselves. The ability to pause before reacting, the strength to choose long-term reward over short-term pleasure, the maturity to stay committed when excitement fades. That is power. Consistency builds confidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your self-trust grows, and self-trust is the foundation of unshakable confidence. When you know you can rely on yourself, fear loses its grip. You stop second-guessing your ability to handle challenges because you've proven to yourself over and over again that you show up. Discipline may feel restrictive at first, but it actually creates freedom. Freedom from regret, freedom from chaos, freedom from the cycle of starting and stopping. When your habits are aligned with your goals, you experience clarity. You waste less energy fighting yourself and more energy advancing yourself. Greatness is rarely about dramatic moments. It is about daily decisions, the unseen sacrifices, the repeated effort, the refusal to compromise your standards. While others wait for motivation, disciplined people create momentum. While others quit when it gets hard, disciplined people grow stronger. The hero within you is not awakened by hype. It is awakened by habit, by structure, by intentional action repeated long enough to transform character. When you develop inner discipline, you stop depending on external pressure to push you. You become self-driven, self-governed, self-motivated. And that is when you become unstoppable. Take bold action, because clarity does not come from thinking alone. It comes from moving. So many people are waiting until they feel completely ready, completely confident, completely certain. But readiness is a myth. Confidence is built in motion, not in meditation. You don't become brave before you act. You become brave because you act. Fear will always show up when you step towards something bigger than your comfort zone. Fear is not a stop sign. It is a signal that you are approaching growth. If you wait for fear to disappear, you will wait your entire life. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is deciding that your purpose is greater than your panic. Bold action requires you to risk being seen, risk being misunderstood, risk failing publicly, and that vulnerability is uncomfortable. But understand this, staying invisible has a cost too. Playing small has a price. Every time you shrink back from opportunity, you reinforce doubt. Every time you step forward despite uncertainty, you strengthen belief. Action breaks the cycle of overthinking. Overthinking magnifies problems and minimizes potential. It creates imaginary obstacles and worst-case scenarios. But when you move, reality replaces imagination. You gather data, you gain experience, you learn what works and what doesn't. Even mistakes become teachers when you are in motion. There is power in momentum. One step leads to another. One decision creates another opportunity. One attempt builds skill. You may not see the full staircase, but you do not need to. You only need the courage to take the next step. Waiting for the entire path to be revealed is another form of hesitation disguised as wisdom. Bold action also redefines failure. When you act, you might stumble, you might fall short, but failure in motion is growth. Failure in inaction is regret. Regret lingers longer than disappointment. At least when you try, you gain strength, insight, and resilience. When you don't try, you are left with what if. Every hero reaches a moment where comfort and calling collide. Comfort says, stay safe. Calling says, step out. Comfort says, what if you lose? Calling says, what if you win? The decision you make in that moment shapes your future. Safety may protect your ego, but it will imprison your potential. Bold action requires trust in your preparation, trust in your ability to adapt, trust that even if things don't unfold perfectly, you can handle the outcome. You have survived challenges before. You have overcome obstacles before. The same strength that carried you through past battles will carry you through new ones. You do not need perfect timing. You need decisive movement. You do not need universal approval. You need personal conviction. Waiting for everyone to agree with your vision will keep you stuck. Action often comes before applause, and something shifts when you move. Doors begin to open, connections appear, opportunities surface. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did. The world responds differently to people who move with intention. Take the step, make the call, start the project, have the conversation, apply for the opportunity, speak up, show up, try. Because heroes are not remembered for the dreams they had, they are remembered for the risks they took. Bold action turns possibility into reality. And reality is where transformation lives. Serve and inspire others. Because the true measure of a hero is not how high they rise, but how many people they lift while rising. Success that stops with you is small. Power that only benefits you is limited. But when your growth becomes a bridge for someone else, your life takes on a deeper meaning. There is something powerful about realizing that your breakthrough is not just about you. The strength you fought for, the lessons you learned, the discipline you built, the courage you developed, none of it was meant to be hoarded. It was meant to be shared. Someone is watching you survive. Someone is studying how you handle pressure. Someone is gaining hope simply because you refuse to quit. Service shifts your focus from ego to impact. It moves you from how far can I go to Who can I help along the way? And that shift changes everything. When you live only for yourself, setbacks feel heavier and criticism feels sharper. But when you live with purpose beyond yourself, even pain becomes part of a bigger mission. Inspiring others does not require a stage or a microphone. It requires authenticity. People are not inspired by perfection. They are inspired by progress. They are inspired by resilience. They are inspired by watching someone fall and rise again with dignity. When you allow others to see your journey, the struggles and the growth, you give them permission to believe in their own transformation. Serving others also keeps you grounded. It reminds you that your talents are gifts, not trophies. It reminds you that leadership is responsibility, not superiority. A true hero does not dominate, they empower. They do not shine alone, they create light around them. There is a ripple effect to every act of encouragement, every word of wisdom, every moment of kindness. You may never fully see the impact of your influence. A conversation that seems small to you could be life-changing to someone else. A moment of belief you offer could ignite a fire in someone who was ready to give up. When you lift others, you reinforce your own strength. Teaching reinforces learning, encouraging reinforces hope, leading reinforces discipline. Service sharpens character. It stretches your patience. It deepens your empathy. It strengthens your integrity. It keeps your heart aligned with purpose instead of pride. The world does not need more people chasing applause. It needs more people creating impact. It needs more individuals who understand that greatness is not measured by followers, titles, or possessions, but by lives touched and changed. And here is the beautiful truth. When you help others rise, you rise higher. When you become a source of strength for someone else, your own strength multiplies. Fulfillment grows where contribution lives. The joy that comes from seeing someone else succeed because you encourage them cannot be matched by personal achievement alone. Your story is not just a testimony of survival. It is a roadmap for someone behind you. Your courage can unlock someone else's confidence. Your discipline can inspire someone else's consistency. Your faith can restore someone else's belief. That is what makes you a true hero. Not just overcoming obstacles, but becoming a lighthouse for others navigating their storms. So now you have a choice. You can leave here inspired, or you can leave here transformed, because inspiration fades, but decision rewrites destiny. You didn't survive all that pressure just to live average. You didn't fight through those storms just to sit on the sidelines of your own life. There is something in you that refuses to die. Something in you that kept getting back up when logic said stay down. That wasn't luck. That was purpose tapping you on the shoulder. Stop shrinking. Stop apologizing. Stop waiting. The cape was never going to fall out of the sky. It was stitched into your character through pain, discipline, courage, and faith. Every tear prepared you. Every setback shaped you. Every battle built you. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too small. You are becoming. And when you walk out of here, don't just talk about change, embody it. Let your actions speak so loud that doubt has to whisper. Let your discipline be louder than your distractions. Let your courage be louder than your fear, because the world does not need another spectator. It needs a hero, and the hero is not coming. The hero is rising. The hero is you.